Welcome to Microsoft Mechanics. Coming up on the show, we're going to take a look at Azure Application Insights that provide a simple way for engineering teams to gather live telemetry from web apps and services for real-time monitoring and diagnostics. We're going to show you how you can proactively detect and diagnose issues, get actionable insights via machine learning and ad hoc analytics, and how to set up monitoring for your apps. So I'm joined today by Raul from the Azure team. Welcome.
Great to be here.
So Application Insights is really a new offering, but what are we trying to solve for here?
So traditionally, application monitoring has been an afterthought. Monitoring would happen when issues started cropping up. But with modern applications getting increasingly multi-tiered and componentized, we need to infuse monitoring in all phases of the app lifecycle, ranging from development to test to release, as well as planning. So that way you can identify issues and optimizations as part of your pre- and post-production process and iterate continuously. And incidentally, that's what DevOps is all about.
So how does Application Insights then make all of this easier?
Let me show you. So here I have an Azure dashboard with various charts and metrics pinned from Application Insights. It can help you detect and discover issues that impact your production environment, as well as subsequently your customers. Now, we are targeting engineering teams rather than traditional IT ops teams because we want to give monitoring and diagnostics capabilities to developers as they are building their apps and services. Now, as an example, here they can see both their client-side and server-side performance, as well as detect failures in one single view. We also want to ensure that product owners get that useful telemetry while they are making feature prioritizations. As an example, here they can monitor the usage of their applications and also discover what their most popular pages are. Also, one more important thing. To reduce barriers to adoption, we have deliberately taken an SDK-based approach. So the operations team no longer has to go and install an agent on a server to get monitoring up and running.
Right, and all of that said, don't worry about it if you're in the ops team. All that visibility also accrues to you so that you can have continuous monitoring of the application, ensure that all of its dependencies are up, available, and the reliability and responsiveness is where you want it.
That's true. And by additionally empowering the engineering teams, we are ensuring that the job of maintaining the application becomes a shared responsibility between developer and IT so that they can both get ahead of the issues in production environment.
Now, so how would I use all of this?
So I have an application that's already running on an Azure VM as well as an Azure App Service. So that's already instrumented with Application Insights. Let me show you a simple example how you can detect and fix issues in production.
Okay, let's do it.
So let's come back to our Azure dashboard and look at the application map. This application map gives a topology view of your application and shows me all the server-side and client-side dependencies in one single view. So in this case, I can for example, figure out that some of my server-side dependencies are not in a healthy state. If I want to diagnose further, let's go to the Azure table. There are 3 errors that came up for that dependency. So we'll find out what's going on with this get customers details problem. Now, it tells me it's a 409 error happening during a post command. Now, what might have been going on in this operation? So let's see all available telemetry. Now, there is an exception that got thrown as part of that request. Let's see more details. Now, I can see both the error message as well as details about that error, where it happened in the file, what was the line number, all as part of the call stack. Now, I can just file it as a bug for my engineering team to investigate and fix.
Really cool. And we just saw something really powerful here that I could detect and diagnose the issue and have the ability to route really that information back to dev teams to take action so they can actually see this throughout the development lifecycle. But can it help me identify things that might be performance-based or other problems that will make my site go from slower to faster?
Yes, it can. Let's get back to the Azure dashboard. So here we can see both your server-side performance as well as your client-side performance. So in this case, we've noticed that the server is taking close to 900 milliseconds on average to respond.
Sounds slow.
So let's see if we can make it faster.
Okay.
So we see that my most popular operation here is get home index. And in some cases, it's taking close to 2 seconds to run. Now, we can go to the profiler and see what's going on there. So the profiler gives me a thread level view of my request, and it tells me that this particular request was spending most of its time being blocked on a particular operation. It tells me a couple of performance tips that I can then take care of and make my site faster.
Right now, if I wanted to drill deeper into that data and find trends that might lead to performance issues, what we saw here with the root causes, or even deep dive into historical data, can I do that and track those root causes down?
Yes, for that, you can use our analytics and smart diagnostics capabilities.
Okay.
So that's basically a big data query engine that we have built within App Insights that you can use to drill down into your application telemetry and get instant answers. So to go to the analytics portal, we just have to navigate to analytics from the application overview blade. By the way, on the home page, you would notice there are a bunch of examples and tutorials that can help you get started with some of the basic and advanced queries that you can run with Application Insights.
Super helpful.
So in this case, I have a bunch of queries already set up from one of our past analysis that uses machine learning to identify problems. So we had been regularly monitoring our exceptions in this particular application. So we had a query set up for that. Let me run that for you. Now, you'd notice that in the middle of January, around the 12th, there were some exceptions that started spiking up.
Looks like something bad happened there.
So in this case, our hypothesis was that it might have been due to an increase in the request load that might have caused this problem. So we had another query that monitors the request for this application. And interesting to see, there is some correlation happening here.
It's like a lot of correlation. Yeah.
So to figure out the probable root cause, we can use the smart diagnostics capability that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
That basically runs machine learning algorithms in the backend, discovers patterns, and kind of suggests the most probable root cause that might have led to the spike or the dip.
Is that what that purple dot is for?
Yes. So if I click on this purple blip, it will run those algorithms in the backend. Immediately tells me that there were some malicious requests that originated from this particular IP range from St. Petersburg in Russia. And all of that spike was because of that request. So simple fix is from a firewall.
Sounds like an easy fix. And these types of queries and insights are really in the underlying data set that we have here. But I could see that some of this would be really useful in terms of building out KPI dashboards, maybe reviewing that with the broader IT and dev teams. Is that something else we can do with the data?
Definitely. It's very easy to build these dashboards using analytics. So once you have that query that you want to monitor regularly written out, you can just pin that to an Azure portal dashboard that we saw on the Azure portal just now. Or you can export that to Excel or Power BI. And incidentally, that's what we use to monitor all the App Insights KPIs internally as well.
Yeah, why wouldn't we? So how would I actually get this all set up and running in my own tenant?
So we wanted to infuse monitoring in all parts of the application lifecycle. So we have designed Application Insights to be a part of Visual Studio and have also built into most of the popular Azure services. If your application is already there in Visual Studio, you just need to right-click on that application, add Application Insights telemetry, and you can start collecting all your data without needing to write a single line of code.
Very cool.
And in case you have your application already running in Visual Studio, you can see live production telemetry data while you are working on the code as part of the Code Lens integration. Another thing, so if you are developing your application using any other IDE, any other language or platform, we have most of our SDKs available on GitHub that can help you get started.
Very cool. And can I use Application Insights when my app is already running in production? Maybe I haven't developed it like we see here during the app development process. Can I port that back to an existing app?
Yes, so you can enable Application Insights on a service that's already running in production using our Status Monitor configuration tool. This automatically captures all the applications that are running there, and you can enable monitoring for them with a single click. Of course, you'll get much more deeper telemetry and advanced capabilities if you build your application from the get-go using App Insights.
So really great stuff. And can I integrate Application Insights then within my own existing tools and processes?
Yeah, so Application Insights supports continuous monitoring through your entire DevOps lifecycle. So we have various touch points that you can use to integrate with your own tools and processes. For example, we have data access REST APIs that you can use to get all your events, metrics, and queries. You can even continuously export your data to a blob storage and run stream analytics on top of that. We are also fully integrated into Azure Monitor, and you can use it as part of your operations management suite. Also, we saw before, if you're using Visual Studio Team Services or GitHub, you can use Application Insights as part of your work item management system, as well as with release annotations and cloud load testing.
Great stuff here. Thanks, Raul. And we've been covering a lot on the shift to modern application architectures, and this really makes DevOps real. But where can people go to learn more?
So you can learn more and try it for yourself by following the link below.
And also, don't forget to keep watching Microsoft Mechanics for the latest tech updates across Microsoft. Thanks for watching.